That's it. I think we are actually live on YouTube right now. Hello, everybody. Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you for joining us live right now. If you're just clicking on to join us for Self-Love Talks. And hello and welcome everybody that's watching on the replay. Thank you also for being here. And just a shout out. I think we are actually live on YouTube right now. Oh, hold on. Hello, everybody. Hello, beautiful souls. Hold on. Oh no, how do I?
You're probably.
I'm just gonna.
Your YouTube channel is open.
The replays, thank you Bear with me. For being here. Oh, I don't know how to turn that off. Oh my God, what a cock up. This is what happens when you're not used to turning lives. Someone tell me quickly how to turn that off.
So close your YouTube channel.
Hold on,
close your YouTube page.
I'm going to figure this out. Just wait there. I just don't know how to do it. Yes, I do. There we go. There we go. Everything's good. I fixed it. Thank goodness for that. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, my goodness.
I'll cut that bit out after. So crazy, because you're the first guest I've had on YouTube Live with me, Barbara. Since I transferred over here, you're my first guest on Self-Love Talks. So it's a real pleasure to have you. I just want to say, first of all, thank you everybody for subscribing. I was just telling Barbara here that my subscriptions on YouTube have gone way up, and I'm just so thrilled and grateful to all of you for subscribing. So if you haven't done that yet, please go ahead. And really thrilled and excited to introduce my beautiful guest tonight, Barbara Santen. She is a relationship and dating coach and hosts a really wonderful show called Magnetized Love. Barbara, I adore you already. We only just met a week or two ago. Thank you so much for being here. How are you this evening?
I adore you too. And I'm so thrilled that you invited me right away on your show. And I'm just so grateful to be here in front of your audience. So thank you.
Oh, we're lucky. I think we're in for a good night tonight. Because I know you've got, well, I think it's obvious looking at you, you shine, you have a light about you. And when you talk about magnetized love, I can clearly see that you're somebody who walks their talk, that you live this stuff, you don't just preach it. And you can just feel the love coming off you right now anyway. I can anyway. So yeah, by the way, everybody, what I want to do is put the link in for you. I'll put it in the comments later on for you to come and join Barbara's show. Barbara, do you want to just tell people a little bit about yourself, how you got into being a relationship and dating coach?
Sure.
Yeah, and then a little bit about your show as well.
Absolutely. So I started off, my trade is that I'm a midwife, a Canadian midwife, and I worked delivering babies for over a decade. I delivered hundreds of babies. And what I saw unfold in front of me was, of course, a beautiful family being born. But what I also saw was relationships shifting while a child was coming in the midst of them. And I was watching and saw that some relationships I could feel, and I'm a very intuitive person just by nature, I could feel, wow, they're really solid together. They're going to make it. And others, I could feel like, whoa, Nellie, this is going to not end well. And I wondered, like, why do I feel this? And I had my own experiences with relationships ending and children coming into the mix and all of that. And I really wanted to help these clients, make it for the sake of these children, but also for their own sake. And so I started really digging deep into what makes a relationship amazing. And it isn't, communicate more and use I statements, which is what I'd always learned through counseling and couples therapy that always ended up in breakups anyway. So I wouldn't stop until I got the answers that felt good to me and felt right to me around what makes relationships really stick. And so I did a bunch of training, and I started my coaching practice while I was still a midwife as well. And it evolved over time into dating and relationships.
That's amazing. I didn't actually know that you were a midwife for 10 years and that you do that for the children. And my heart is just going, this is why I love you so much. I've got, as people who follow me know, I've got been interested in birth for the last 20 years since I gave birth to my kids. And I was one of those natural mama home births, blissed out of my mind, giving birth to my kids. And yeah, the relationship part really didn't work out so well. But I have a massive passion for midwifery and birthing and conscious relationships and bringing the children into a world where there's actually more love. So everything you've just said is just making my heart fill with joy that you come from that place.
Yeah. And, it also came from my own personal experience of not only having been divorced while pregnant with my second child, but just relationship struggles in general, relationship after relationship failing based on the regular psychology system of, and I always joke, right? Communicate more and use I statements. Like, talk about how you feel only, right? And I teach this now in a deeper way, but there's a 50% divorce rate, sort of across the board. And for second marriages, it's more. And so, and I was suffering through that while watching others also suffer through that. And I really wanted to birth a new way of relationships. So here I am.
I love that so much. And, we have that in common. I broke up with my partner when I was pregnant with my second child too.
Oh my goodness, we didn't know that yet.
No, I didn't know that. There's a lot I don't know about you because we haven't really personally chatted. You invited me to your show. You just found me and interviewed me. And I loved that interview, by the way. And I really encourage everybody watching to go and sign up for your Magnetized True Love show that you're putting on with all the incredible people that you're interviewing. And we didn't get a chance really to chat personally. So, that was a major thing for me as well, having, two babies to raise by myself. Because they were only 14 months apart, my kids. So I left my partner pretty much as soon as I discovered I was pregnant. And I loved him to bits, but it was just a disaster. And I never planned on being a single mum. I was devastated that I wasn't going to bring my children into a loving family and I couldn't fix it. But that was like having that level of pain and heartbreak was a major motivator, if you like, or kickstart to me doing this, what I do now. And who knew that I would end up here? I have no idea, but it was a massive thing. It was like, I want this world to be a better place for the children coming into it. What can I do? What's going to be my part in this? Tell me more about that, Barbara. What happened? I mean, whether it's a personal story or anything, because I know that you've transformed this now. So I want to hear at the end and tell our viewers about your amazing love life transformation and all the things you learned along the way. I'd love to hear that. But in the beginning, how was it for you?
Yeah, it was devastating for me as well. I mean, here I was, I was 23 years old, pregnant and divorced.
Gosh, that's young.
Yeah. And I was like, felt so much shame around that. And I was repeating a pattern that my mother had repeated as well, including the divorce. And my mother actually divorced when she was pregnant with me at age 39 and never, not once had a relationship until she died at 74, sorry. And I was like, I do not want that. I refuse to be single and bitter. She was also very hurt. I refused to be single and bitter for the rest of my life. And here I was 24 years old. Can you imagine if that was going to happen? So, but I didn't know how to do relationships right. So what I ended up doing as I got into another relationship several years later with a man that was completely opposite my first husband. I thought it was the man. I thought it was them. I thought it was outside of me. And what I ended up attracting was the complete opposite, but complete dissatisfaction. No passion, it was also a disaster on another level. So by the time I was 30 something, I forget my exact age then, I had had 2 marriages and 2 divorces. And I had been through therapy alone, therapy together, you know, different therapists, like marriage counselors, like this kind, the trauma kind, whatever. Like I tried everything and none of it worked. And I thought, there's no way that, you know, that there isn't more to this story. There has to be more to this story, because in my gut of guts, I have this desire for a deeply satisfying, connecting, loving, passionate relationship. And I don't have the tools to know how to do that, but I know it exists and I'm standing for that. And I will search until I find it. And so this was the passion that drove me over decades to, you know, take courses and to, you know, take different kinds of coaching, to read books. And David Data, I don't know if you know
I
him.
do, yeah, not personally,
Yeah.
but I know his
Yeah.
books.
Yeah. So he ignited this. He like saw me, you know, I read his book. It's called Way of the Superior Man. And I read that book.
I swear that book was written for women, not men.
Oh, it was so amazing. I read that book because I was with a partner who was addicted to pornography. And society was telling me, it's you, like pornography is normal, you know, having sacred sex in a relationship is just like a pipe dream. You know, like stop being such a prude. It's because of your own sexual trauma from childhood sexual abuse. It's you, it's you, it's you. And I was like, this does not resonate. And I believe me more than all these outside voices. By then I'd done enough work and enough self-love.
You know, thank goodness, Barbara, because that's what, how do we terminology that nowadays? Gaslighting, isn't it?
Yes,
Is that what it's
that
called?
was absolute gaslighting, not only by the man I was with, but by everyone around me who I approached around this, including counselors.
Yeah. No.
Now, I was, you know, yeah, like, oh, it's normal. Like most men watch porn. Like, what about you is the issue? Let's
why is that normal as well? Number one, why is that normal? And how dysfunctional is it to have a man who's addicted to anything, and let alone pornography, in a loving relationship? That how is that normal? Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you being gaslit by that. You've already been through loads of trauma already with your divorces and your children and everything. And for people to put that on you, I feel like you are speaking for hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of women who have had this experience and are still getting this experience now, Barbara. And they may still be young in their 20s or 30s and experiencing this now. People still say it's normal. So I love that you're raising that, for everybody as well to hear.
Yeah, and I think it speaks into the bigger culture of sort of pop psychology and how, we have to take full responsibility for our lives. And that is true. And I teach that and I stand by that. And what we do as empaths and as highly intuitive women is we take over responsibility and end up in that kind of situation. Like I thought, oh, it's me. I'm overreacting to his porn and drinking. He also drank too much. His pornography use and alcohol use. It's me. It's because of a childhood trauma in me. And this is where the traumas that we've all experienced get turned on us.
That is so true. That is so true. And I've experienced that as well myself. Exactly. I wonder how many women or people watching this, maybe it happens the other way around as well to the masculine. Anybody watching this has had a similar experience. Please comment about that, because I think it's really important that women are heard. Well, all of us are heard on this. It's abusive.
Yeah. Yeah. And society sort of, it's great that we're all self-aware, right? For those of us who are really sensitive and who really want to shift our and learn and grow, we often take over responsibility. And I just want, that is my mission in life, is to create real power and not over responsibility in women, the women that I serve.
I would love you to talk more about that. in a bit as well.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. And I myself went through lots of different forms of abuse in relationships, like mental, emotional, physical, the spiritual, even the whole range on my journey to understanding love and true love and relationships. And always, like you, being such a loving person and super sensitive and super empathic and soft, exactly like you said, taking the hits, blaming myself, and also getting blamed. And me taking that on and saying, yes, it's me. I have to be better. I have to do more. I have to be more loving. And if I love more and accept more and be unconditionally loving and all these things that women are supposed to be, everything's going to work out. And it was a disaster. It got worse and worse and worse, and until I was like, I had to really see it for what it was, that I was in abusive relationships and being told that it was my fault and being gaslighted or told I was mad. It was a police officer woman that pointed that out to me. She said, everything you're describing, look on this sheet, it's the classic symptoms of domestic abuse, and it's not okay, and you have rights around this. And I had no idea at that time. Yeah, so it's really important. I think what you've just shared, I'm highlighting it a bit here, unexpectedly highlighting it, because I think it is so important. It's giving me goose pimples. And also that in your heart of hearts, okay, I'm doing everything, I'm doing all the courses, why is this still happening? So what was it for you? Like, what was the discovery, or how did you discover what it was? When you're already taking full responsibility, you're already saying all the I statements, you're already, all of that stuff, and yet you're still in this abusive relationship. Sorry if I'm saying it's abusive for you.
Yeah, it was, I mean, a lot of that, it was definitely abusive. So back to the David Data book, he talks about the masculine and the feminine. And I had never really heard about these concepts, but it was like the sky opened up and angels were singing. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I've been feeling all along. That, and the self-love piece, when we are disconnected to one or the other part of our masculine or feminine, and for most of us women, let's face it, it's our feminine, because the feminine is not revered in our society at all, and not valued.
I think it's utterly hijacked if we
I agree.
go down that road. Yeah,
exactly. And so that intuitive side, that soft side, and the connection to God, the connection to spirit, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, kept getting hijacked, right? And put down. Like, your intuition, prove it. Or these studies show, back to the porn thing, may as well. These studies show that it's normal. Okay, so your study then overpowers my truth with a capital T, right? And this is what's happening in our society, like, chronically. The masculine is revered and worshipped, and the science and the logic and the linear thinking is all this, like we all bow down. But the second you have a gut feeling, oh, well, prove it. Well, the proof is that I feel it. Like, that should be enough. And so back to David Data, his work helped me feel normal, feel right, feel vindicated, feel validated, that connection to myself that I was feeling was real, and that longing for my king, that longing for a masculine man with a purpose, who would, slam me up against the wall and make love to me in such a powerful way, but wasn't abusive and knew that line. That's what I want.
Tingles.
Right.
Giving me tingles.
And it's so what I feel it too. Like, it's still so what I want, what I deserve, and what every woman deserves.
Everybody longs that. I know so many women long for the same thing.
And what I discovered through, reading that book and then going on this deep journey of decades of searching and, drinking in all this information that was out there that I had now, gotten access to, was reclaiming my feminine. And part of that was connecting my head to my body, embodying myself. So I started a practice of yoga, and the first 6 months, no word of a lie, I practiced yoga every day. I just hit the ground running. For the first 6 months, I cried on my mat every single day. There was so much that needed to be released. There was so much, and so it was such a powerful reconnection to who I really was, that it was just this profound emotional experience every time. Sometimes it was grief, sometimes it was joy. You know, I just had all these tears pent up over years.
So you're releasing it, like wringing it out of your body, squeezing it out of your muscle memory.
Yeah. And so I reconnected with my body during that yoga, you know, practice, and I still practice yoga. And I became embodied, and I'm still working on it. I'm actually in a workshop with David right now. That's why it's forefront of my mind. But so that piece was the ultimate in self-love, honoring the inner feminine, honoring my intuition, honoring that longing and that feeling, and not letting society tell me that it was wrong and bad and not worthy of searching deeper. And that was the ultimate self-love. It was standing in my authenticity, standing in my truth, and not stopping until I got answers that resonated for me.
Let's just let that resonate. I'm really breathing everything you're saying in, and it's just like this shower of words, and everything you're saying, I'm just going, yes, sister, like, hallelujah. I'm so with you. And people that are watching as well, thanks for watching, guys, and being with us live. And Maura was just saying here, she was doing psychology, and when she heard the term coercive bullying, and it was given a name, that she also felt that she wasn't alone. And that's really powerful, isn't it? When you know you're not alone, you get that moment of, I had the word as well in my mouth. I was like, it's validation. That's the word. And when you get that validation, you go, oh, it's real. What I feel is real. And that's such an important part to, well, validate. Then you can validate yourself. Then you can come into your power, can't you? That's totally where it started for me. Yeah. And I love doing that for other people as well now. And I think this is why I do these talk shows, and I'm guessing you do too, because when you help validate somebody else by sharing your experience, like you're so generously giving us today, Barbara, then other people are like, oh, I just needed that little lifeline, that I can move through this too, and I can get my power back. I love that. I love it. I love it so much. So then what happened? Then what happened in your love life? Let's just talk about your love life then.
Okay, so then this all started happening in that relationship with the man addicted to alcohol and pornography. And just for the record, you know, I'm an empath, so I always feel for other people, even when they're not good to me. He had his own shit that caused him to be addicted to these things, and he wasn't ready to look at them yet. So I'm not here to, you know, put anyone down. And because your viewers, I'm sure, are also empaths, and they also don't want to put other people down. And the biggest take-home message I can share with you today is, and it's not a but, I focused on what I needed. It doesn't negate their needs, but focusing on what you need is number one always. And if you stand in your truth with a capital T of what you need, it affects everybody in a positive way. They may not feel like it does, ultimately on their deepest level. So for this man, I ended up breaking up with him, and it was absolutely devastating to him. I don't even know how he's doing. I think it was bad. And I felt so much guilt about that, because like, maybe I should just stay with him and work it out.
You're taking responsibility, aren't you?
Yeah. And yet I by then I knew that I needed to stand in my truth, and that ultimately the trickle effect of that was that everyone who it would affect, and it affected a lot of people. We had a few children that I was really dearly connected to, that ultimately it would create a ripple effect of deep learning, learning from real life experiences that are for your highest good. And if you just trust that listening to your truth is it's like a piece of God that is speaking. So if a piece of God is speaking in you, how can it be wrong for even one person that it affects, right? So my biggest mission in life is to help women stand in their truth with a capital T at all times, because no matter what, even if your voice right now, whoever's listening, is saying, yeah, but leaving this man will affect my kids, doing this will affect so and so I love. Yes. And the possibility is that it affects them in a good way as well. So trust.
I think the possibility is that it liberates everybody, because when you're in a codependent relationship, and codependency is, I'm going to take responsibility for this person because I'm viewing them as not being able to take responsibility for their stuff. And they're probably seeing something very similar back, although we may not know it. And we're both hooked into that codependent overtaking or no taking of responsibility. And it's really important that one person, hopefully two, but even if one person says, actually, this is not my truth, and I have to be bravely honest with myself, because you can't lie to yourself. And if you do, you're going to end up very sick. And life doesn't work when you lie to yourself, does it? It's a disaster after disaster after disaster. You and I both know that. So yes. when you say, okay, I am going to stand in my truth, listen to that voice of God, source, universe, whatever you call it, and own that as your truth, like exactly like you said, then you actually unhooking yourself to not be codependent, but be independent, taking care of your needs, right? I stand for myself. I'm responsible for my well-being. I'm responsible for my own truth, not anybody else's. And I'm going to take care of what I need. That liberates the other person too. And they might not like it. They might not, it might take them a while, but ultimately you've given yourself a gift and you've given that person the gift, and the ripple effect keeps going, doesn't it? Yes. It's like that's how transformation happens, is when somebody is actually brave enough to get out of their head and going, oh my God, but, and just go, hold on a minute. Oh my God, this is what needs to happen for my highest good. And I love that trust of, like, if it's in my highest good, then it's in everybody's highest good.
Right.
That is actually in my 7 steps of transformational self-love, the I Love You Me method. That's step 2. That's how important that is to transforming your life. It's number 2 in the steps to do that, is to say, I'm going to take care of what I need. So, wow. Then what happened?
Okay, so I left that relationship, and I was already dating. Actually, I was a relationship coach at the time for new parents, and I found myself single. And I went out there in the dating world, and I realized, oh my goodness, like, what kind of world is this? And dating world, I mean. And I realized that there was such a huge gap in support like this, for standing in your truth and empowering yourself in the dating world, that I just shifted my practice from focusing on relationships to dating. And I practiced what I preached. I tested myself first on my own method, and it worked. Within 4 months, I met the love of my life.
What did you do? Everyone's got, I can hear all the women. What did you do? What was the...
So, there are several steps to my work. The first one is get deadly honest with yourself and get ridiculous with the desires you have. Like, get fucking ridiculous. Am I allowed to swear? I just did.
Well, you can say whatever you want.
Okay. So get like crazy ridiculous, and then get even more ridiculous. Because we're like, oh, like, I really want a nice guy. No, you don't. You want that man that I talked about earlier. Yeah. You want a powerful man. You want someone who will take care of you, who can, again, slam you up against the wall and make love to you in a powerful way, but not a violent way. You want someone who, you know, who has his shit together, who's willing to grow with you. You want passion. You want, you know, and you want a feeling. You don't want a tall, yeah, exactly. And the connection that you want is because you want a feeling. So everything comes down to what you want to feel. So my first session with any woman that comes into my coaching is, what do you want to feel in a relationship? Feel, not I want a tall man. I want a man with a beard. No, we know we want those things. Those are easy. What do you want to feel? And then what else do you want to feel? And then what else?
I love it. Yes.
And then dare to imagine you want to feel that even deeper layer, because we're so afraid to even admit to ourselves what we want for the risk of not getting it. And actually, you're setting yourself up to not getting it by not even desiring it, if that makes sense. If you can't feel what it is you desire, you're not ever going to get it.
This is your magnetized part, isn't it? So it's not cold and stiff like all the, you know, do this X, Y, Z and speak from the I. And no, it's like, actually, this is the real part. This is the feminine part. This is the empowerment part. This is the magnetic, sexy, I want some of that part, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like, okay, I'm in.
And when you start thinking about it, then you start feeling it. And when you start feeling that desire kind of bubble up in you, whew, like I'm just getting goosebumps right now, just tapping into that, you know, and if you're living in a place of desire, first of all, you're living in your feminine, and the feminine magnetizes just naturally, but it's very magnetic for that high quality type of man that I just described earlier.
Men actually say, going back to what you said earlier, I'm sorry, I'm so excited about
it. It's totally fine.
I've heard that very, you know, men in their power, the man that you're describing, the biggest attraction isn't the size of her bum or her hairstyle or the color of her lipstick, is that she can actually look after herself and she knows what she wants. So exactly what you said, you take care of your own needs, not to the exclusion of everybody else, right? It's like, I can do everything by myself, I don't need you, not like that. No. But like owning it and looking after yourself, and then knowing what you want. Because when you know what you want and you know and you can feel it, don't you walk differently and move differently and dress differently, and everything's kind of just much more feminine and sexy, isn't it?
Totally, because and you're also living on the vibration of where that thing lives. So when you're in that desire and you're feeling, you know, and you're living your life just knowing it's going to come. It might come in a week, it might come in a year. It's going to come. You just trust that, because you know that you just trust God, you trust the universe, you trust the law of attraction. So you're walking around your life just like feeling the shit, like, I know I'm going to get that amazing thing, and let it come. And that feeling also makes you live on the vibration of the thing that you want. So if you're living in the feeling, you're living on the right wavelength to even see the man that is meant for you.
I think you're reminding me of another thing, like when I was a little kid, and I think, and again, a lot of women and girls are going to relate to this. I didn't want for anything because I knew I wasn't going to get it. And being told that you can't, you know, it was almost like that if you're a good girl, you don't want for anything, you don't need anything, you don't ask for anything. That was how I grew up anyway. Right. I don't know how many other people grew up, but even to start wanting something or to say it out loud, like secretly I wanted, but I daren't speak it out loud because I knew it was going to be a disappointment and it wouldn't happen. So that was deep in my psychology. And I wonder how many other women have that. And that's why it does feel frightening. I think that's why we do settle for a lot less and don't even realize that we're settling for less just because it feels safe and it doesn't feel selfish or greedy or, you know, too magnificent and out there and idealistic, because it won't happen. You know, it's like, oh, you're in fantasy. And we get told that a lot, right? You can't have it all. They tell you that. And then, of course, what was the other part that you said? Not being able to get what you want. Oh, I can't remember. It's gone. Anyway, I just thought that was really important, just to focus on the wanting part.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the desire, right? Your desire. And it is, desire is a wanting. And I don't want to nitpick on your wording, because I've been saying the word wanting too. And I just want to speak into truly manifesting and truly using the law of attraction, because the word want already actually, it sends out a message that you don't have it.
It doesn't have a very good vibration just when you feel the word, does it? Vibration doesn't feel good.
Yeah, so desire, I love the word desire, and I catch myself all the time using the word want, or right, I don't have yet, or whatever. So the word desire, it's so resonant with the feminine. When we live in our desire, we have that longing, that deep ache for the thing that we long for, the thing that we want, I almost said, right? So it's so ingrained in our minds, it's so ingrained in our vocabulary.
We're reprogramming constantly, aren't we? And it's even the fact that we recognize it is perfect. And I just remembered the other thing I was going to say as well about law of attraction, because you said trust the law of attraction. And I think for that reason, it's possible and highly likely that a lot of us don't trust the law of attraction anymore, because we think we're doing all the right things, and we are desiring and we are wanting, but we're not, you know. So maybe you think it doesn't work, or I've been doing it for 10 years and it still hasn't happened. So I feel like a lot of people may have lost faith in that law of attraction, lost faith in the universe, because it's just not happening, not realizing something deeper that's going on underneath is that actually maybe they're not really aligned with what you truly desire. Like truly in your heart, in your womb, in your sacral, in your yoni, you know, in your tummy, just everywhere. And desiring, like you said, and then what, and then what, and then what, and letting it really get out of hand, where you just goes, oh my God, that's so not possible, but that's what I want. That's what I said it again. That's what I desire.
That's totally okay. I wasn't like nitpicking on you, but
no, I hear you. You're right. I think you're right.
And going there helps. I mean, even you just describing it, right? Yeah, like you're like in waves of joy. Just even thinking about the doing of the going into your desires. Never mind if you actually are going into your desires. And the reason I do this exercise with my clients is to get them to the point where they're regularly feeling the desire of the thing that they are desiring, having it now. So the next step is visioning. And visioning not with vision, but visioning with all of your senses, so that in the moment that you're envisioning that incredible relationship or that baby or that house or whatever it is, but we're talking about relationships, that you could envision this while you're in a relationship, but you can't put a face on the person. It has to be a faceless person, because you don't know what the universe has in store for you on that vibration. So visioning and getting into the feeling of being there now. And when you do that, you know, I used to, when I drew in my man, I read a book called Cybernetics. I highly recommend it. Yeah, it's and they recommend doing half an hour of visioning, and they call it mind movie or something. They recommend half an hour a day. Well, I did twice a day, half an hour, because I wanted to make sure that either it worked or I could prove it wrong. Right? So you don't have to do it that long. I tell my clients 10, 15 minutes a day. And what you do is you sit with yourself and you go through a day in the life of your exact life that you want with whomever you want. And every moment of that movie in your mind, you stop and feel what it feels like to have it. Mm-hmm. And it becomes actually really fun. I used to look forward, like I still look forward. I don't do it as often. I used to look forward to those moments because I actually went into a portal and I got there. I was actually there. And when I met my man, his bed, where we now live, his bed was exactly where I envisioned it. He had a pool, which I always had a pool come into my vision, like passively. I don't know, like fine, I'll get a, like, I don't really care for a pool. Like I'm not really, that's not like a thing like that I really wanted, but a pool kept coming in. Okay, fine, we'll have a pool. And this black rattan furniture. And I was like, okay, I'll go with it. It's like, doesn't harm me. He had the exact pool and the exact furniture that I had visioned, that had come into my vision.
I can just see that happening. I can see that portal opening and going to the place where it is because you're vibrationally matching. And then you just went there. Yes. I know this works too, because exactly the same thing happened to me. So I'm like, this is excellent. You're really giving the gold, Barbara. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And down to, I mean, the rattan furniture in the pool was like a sidebar, but it's a really fun, tangible thing to share about how it actually works. But what made it work was feeling what it feels like when we make love, feeling what it feels like to make a cup of coffee together in the kitchen. What does that feel like? I'm there now. He's handing me my cup of coffee. I look into his eyes, that feeling that just washes over me in my womb, in my belly, in my yoni, in my whole being, in my heart. It's just exploding. If you take those moments and feel what it really feels like, you will end up finding that person and matching that exact feeling in real life. It's crazy.
It's beautiful. That's I have the same story. That's exactly what happened. And I had a pool too, and I have a pool.
That's so funny. And just for the record, honestly, I had a pool in my first marriage and I hated it because I was the one that was always cleaning it. There were dead frogs and mice fell in and drowned. And I had trauma around pools. So I did not want a pool. And yet, so my point is, I didn't manifest the pool for me. I manifested the man that had the pool. And so the pool was part of it, right? And it's such a cool, tangible thing. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love this. It's so beautiful. So tell us about the part where you actually met your man. And by the way, guys, I've literally just posted it in the thread now, the link for you to go and check out. Don't go and check it now. Go and check it when we finish talking and bring up the MAGNETIZE True Love show that Barbara is putting on. And I was very blessed to be one of her guests that she's interviewed, and she's going to have lots of amazing guests. And honestly, I'm going to do this myself, and I have True Love, and I'm still going to go and register and listen to all those interviews, Barbara, because you can always learn more, right? And what I love hearing is everybody's stories. And isn't it, this is how we learn, by listening to someone else's story, and these are the things that stick. And it just validates more and builds that even more because you're sharing that collective understanding. That's what I find anyway, and that's what I love so much. But anyway, tell us how did you meet your man? What happened?
So I teach a philosophy called abundance dating, where I teach my women to date like a bunch of men, like if you can, 10 at a time.
Your face is classic like that.
Just bring it. Like if you can date 100 men, do it. But all at once. Because the point is, when you date one person at a time, what we do as women, and it's a primal response, we make him into who we want him to be, but not who he truly is. Mm-hmm. And this was my mistake over and over and over with my other failed relationships. So I created this model called abundance dating. And I was dating a bunch of men, and it really works because you just, first of all, you see how you respond to certain types of men. You see what you like in other types of men. When one guy ghosts you, it's not like the end of your life, you're like, oh, right. Oh, Jason, he was around. Oh yeah, I forgot about him. I haven't heard from him in 3 weeks. Like it's no skin off your back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a muscle we have to learn. It's to not take everything so personally. So I was dating a bunch of men, and I had just broken it off with the hottest guy on earth that I've ever been with. But he was just unavailable. And I needed to stand in my power, as I had been practicing for years, and just be like, Barbara, seriously, just cut it off. Like you're holding on to something that's not working and not opening your palm for the right thing to come in. It's time to let him go. So I broke it off with him, and I was feeling a little blah, and like, it's never going to happen. And I'm 40, whatever I was, 41, 42, and it's never going to happen, and all this stuff. And I thought, ding, ding, I'm going to coach myself. Whenever a client complains to me about it's never going to happen, I tell them to go back on the apps, on the dating apps. Just go swiping. And it's not in a, like, just let me make this really clear. It's not in order to fill a void in an unhealthy way. It is so that you can see the abundance of incredible men that are out there for you. And that we all crave attention from the opposite sex. This is one, yeah, it's one healthy way. You're not going to go sleep with them tonight. Like, I hope not. Or if you do choose that, I don't judge you, but like, that's not the point. The point is just having a conversation with a man, because what we do is we end up going back to our ex. I even went back. This is so vulnerable and honest. I went back to alcohol porn guy for a month.
I don't judge you. I totally understand.
Right? Because I was feeling so, in those moments, I was feeling so like it's never going to happen. And I was feeling unworthy and all of this stuff. So what I did when I broke up with the hot guy is, okay, practice what you preach. Before you're allowed to go to bed, you're going to swipe right on 10 men. And I was exhausted. I'm sitting on I'm like, seriously, Barbara? Like, here I am, devil and angel, like talking to myself. Okay, fine. So I go on the app and I'm like, no. Okay, fine. Yes, no, yes. And on Bumble, I mean, I know this because of my own experience and because I'm a dating coach, but on Bumble is a dating app. And I'm not promoting them or anything, but you can swipe left, which means no. You can say no to somebody. And then if you change your mind, you can shake your phone and it comes back. You get like 1 or 2 tries. And I swiped left on Jerry, my partner. Sorry, my nose is running. There. I had to do that.
I've got my eye is tearing, so I'm leaking a little bit as well. I'm like, oh.
And it's tickling, like it's so annoying. Okay, so I swiped left on him, meaning I passed on him. And then I was like, wait, I think I'm just too much in a rush. Let me just see. So I shook my phone and he came back. And at that point, I was just so done with it all. And I had set myself up 10 yeses for the day. So I just scrolled through. I saw a nice picture. His pictures were awful, by the way. But his profile was okay. Like, I just skimmed over it and I was like, fine, like, what do I have to lose? I'm not marrying this guy. Like, I'm just swiping right. Like, I'm literally just swiping right. So he was one of the 10 that I had swiped right on. Mm-hmm. Now, out of those 10, maybe 2 or 3 replied, right? It's like a funnel. It's a numbers game. So the more men you get in front of, the more likely you're going to hone in on this one high quality guy, because it is a finding a needle in a haystack. So he immediately messaged me, and the quick story is he was very masculine. He pushed it forward. He said, let's hop on a call. No, he didn't say that. He said, let's meet right away. He's like, I hope it's not too forward. And I was like, oh my God, it's so refreshing. Because other men are like, they want to be a pen pal for a year before they invite you on a date.
It's so boring, isn't it? All that texting backwards and forwards, and like, man up already. Come on.
Yeah, ask me on a date.
Make a decision.
Exactly. So we met almost right away, a few days later. And our first meeting story is really funny. He like smelled my neck and it was really awkward and kind of creepy. And I was like, okay. But then the date went really well. And immediately, as soon as I was like walking away from the date, he messaged me again. I want to see you again. And he just stood out from the crowd over and over and over again. I was dating a lot of men, lots of dates. And he just kept persisting, and he stood out from the crowd. And here we are. I mean, a few bumps along the way, and here we are.
I feel like that deserves a round of applause. Everyone just give Barbara a round of applause for that story. Isn't it? That's the story everybody wants to have. Maybe not with the bumble, you know, everything else and the sniffing of the neck. Those are your details, but and they're wonderful details. I love it. But, you know, with their own fill in the blank, put your own details in there. Everybody wants that story. It's like Cinderella. I love these old fairy stories because they're actually really built on true archetypes. And yes, they've been manipulated and twisted and all that stuff and Disneyfied and all that rubbish. But the real stories of going from the, okay, I feel worthless, I'm taking responsibility for everyone around me, I'm overgiving and, you know, not loving myself, going through that journey from the maiden into the woman, owning your power, standing in your truth, standing in your beauty, magnetizing and attracting your dream, your equal vibrational man. It's magical, it really is. And yet it's also just life. It's the way things are, like real life magic. And that all women can do that. And I love that you really are an example to me. I'm an energy reader, so I can see immediately, and I'm sure other people can who are empathic or intuitive can just see immediately that you hold that inside of you. You're not just talking it. It's like, yes, you've been through it. And I love that your honesty as well and your transparency with sharing your story, Barbara. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. You've really opened me up by being so welcoming and connecting. So thank you.
Well, I love it. I love listening to people's stories. And, you know, my relationship was full of bumps like yours. It was like one relationship, abusive relationship after another. And it was awful. And it was really literally for me that moment of choosing self-love and realizing that instead of trying to give and serve everybody else, I had this memory yesterday, and I was remembering the moment when I was in my house and I was 40 years old and my partner had just left me, and one of my sons had gone to live with his dad or taken from me. I didn't agree to it. And I'm left in this house that I hated. I had no money. And I was just with one of my sons left, and he was unhappy. And I was just like, and I was 40 and I just turned 40, and I was just like, I'm so miserable. I'm supposed to have my shit together by now. And I'd been teaching this stuff all over the world, like literally traveling everywhere, teaching about self-love and teaching the methods and helping everybody else heal. And it suddenly, I was like, why can I help everybody else? And they all have these amazing lives and healings and transformations, and my life is shit. And it was like, that wake up moment of, Tara, you're not doing this. You're not doing what you share with others. It was a massive kick up the backside for me. It was like, how did I miss that? And I know that I'm not alone in that. How many of us do that? Because we're so focused on making everybody else happy or wanting to get love by being this, that, or the other, giving and unselfish or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And actually completely missing ourselves in the process. And so for me, your story and my story as well totally validates that, for me at least, that when you shift that emphasis around and you're owning your all your senses, because you said feel the desire and visualize, but with all your senses. Not just your mind, because mind is very, linear and logical and tick boxy, and love isn't tick boxy, is it? Love isn't logical and linear and straightforward, and it's not like that. Love is all encompassing, and that's why I believe, Barbara, we have all these senses so that we can experience love in all its dimensions. And like you do, embody it, actualize it through yourself. And you need all of your senses to do that. You can't think your way into an actualization or an embodiment.
No.
So, and you were like, I love your story because you encompassed all these little elements, like, owning your truth and using all your senses and trusting in your intuition and trusting in your gut. And oh, it's just like, it's like the rewriting a story. It's like rewriting the story of Cinderella, but for the modern woman.
Yay.
For me, that's how I've just heard your story. I completely love it.
Thank you.
So tell us about Magnetize Love and your show.
So Magnetized Love is a show about everything I've spoken about on this interview. It's about empowering yourself in such a way, in such an authentic way, not in the chip on your shoulder kind of way, like I'm fine without a man. No, you know, more about taking care of yourself in the way that you spoke about earlier. You know, I'm able to take care of my own needs and then show up in a relationship while owning my own stuff. And so it's about deepening, you know, healing wounds. It's about knowing what you want. It's about law of attraction. It's about all of the things that I teach in my coaching, but it's a completely free event with incredible speakers such as you, with incredible different points of view that I could never bring on my own. And it's going to air on May 31st. So 2021 for those of you watching a replay.
That is fantastic. So I've put the link in, guys, and I'll put it in again for all of you. I totally recommend that you go and check it out. Just quite simply because I want a world with more love in it. I'm very selfish like that, Barbara. I'm like, I want there to, and I've always felt like this since I was a very little girl. In order for me to be happy in this world, I need to be in a world with more people in a feeling of love. There needs to be more love, because the more love there is in my world, the happier I am. So that's where I had to first do it for myself and put love into my own world by loving myself, and that transformed everything. And then being able to come into that relationship. I think self-love is absolutely crucial to relationships, by the way, and we can do that in another conversation even more so. But yeah, I think you have to really understand what love, real love actually is, and not the checklist, or not the what I didn't get, now I'm going to try and, you know, balance out, or what I, you know, I know what I don't want, but I don't know what I do want. Not all that kind of version of love. And I feel like, so self-love for me massively changed my life dramatically, and brought me in the love of my life that I'm with today. And I just, once you love yourself, and then you're in that couple, and it extends, that ripple effect keeps going out. It goes out to the kids. My kids are so happy. They're thriving right now. And I'm just so happy because they know I'm happy, and then they can relax more because they're not having to, you know, worry about mum, because mum's sorted now. And it just, and then they're not troubled and, you know, trying to take responsibility for something that's not theirs. And often kids do that in relationships, don't we? It's like we want to fix and heal mum or dad or the relationship, and we take all of that stuff on as a little person. Nobody needs that on their children. No one needs that. So it's like how to reverse the damage that's been done, in effect. Start from here, move into that union, that divine union couple, that beautiful space of love, expand it to the children, expand it to, it just keeps expanding to the rest of the world. And I really feel like the relationships between men and women, I think, is the oldest war on this planet. I don't think it's between races or between countries or between colors, or I think for me, when you know, looking back into the records, the Akashic records and the soul records, it's been the clash between the male and the female, or the masculine and the feminine, having been in this weird competition and warlike state where one has to dominate the other, and they can't just coexist and mutually lift one another in a non-codependent kind of a way. So I feel like in this generation, yes, we've been through a heap of disasters. We've got, like you said at the very beginning, 50% minimum divorce rates. And those are the people that are married, and loads of people aren't even married. And so you add on all the breakups.
Yeah.
You know, and then the amount of those breakups, my kids saw me go through a lot of breakups, and it was devastating and traumatizing. So there's a lot more than that 50%. I'm guessing there's a heck of a lot more non-love that the kids are seeing. And we know that we didn't just do that by ourselves. We know that comes from previous generations and those generations before. We know that, like I said, it's the oldest war on the planet, I believe. And so in our generation now, what I think is so incredible, Barbara, and this is why I'm so excited and just feeling so utterly blessed and graced that we're having this conversation. And I want us to have lots more conversations, by the way, and get more of your wisdom out. So watch out to everybody, all my beautiful family that are viewing here. We're going to have more of Barbara. But what was I saying? So I feel like this time now for us, you are, people like you are, and helping others have that total breakthrough. Like you had the breakdown, you broke down, but we're breaking through layers and layers and layers of ancient dysfunction and not love. I don't think there's ever been a time on this planet where there has been unconditional love for the collective, that we've even known what unconditional love is. There's been one or two saints and heroes here and there, and like you said, predominantly masculine. You know, let's all worship this person because they're unconditionally loving. I'm like, nah, no, not don't look up to wonderful people and teachers, but you know thyself, love thyself, and really that we are in this era, this new earth, new age era, where we are transforming. So all that work that you did, all the work that all the other people out there are doing, I would just want to tell everybody not to give up.
Right.
But if it's not working, adjust, listen to Barbara, come and, you know, do your feeling, do your embodiment part, do your self-love part. But don't give up, because it is happening. We're in that wave, and I feel like the crescendo is really building. Do you, Barbara? In that wave, people going, oh my God, I am love. I am the love I'm looking for. It's me that's sexy and funny and fabulous. And I have all of these feelings. And now I can attract that. And I feel like it's almost going to go exponential. I don't feel like it's going to take hundreds of thousands of years to make this transition, so that we actually do have more unity and union and love on the planet. I know I've been ranting rather long on this, but I've got a lot of passion about it. What do you think, Barbara? What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I believe that too. I think the feminine is rising for sure. And I think there's more and more of us who are standing in our power and teaching this stuff and supporting others to find their own. And I love that you're saying, I think that you think exponentially it's going to build and build and build. And I think that too. I mean, I think we're awakening on so many levels, and, you know, we could go down that rabbit hole, but we are just awakening as a womankind, right? And as a humankind, to how much more there is than just our physical, earthly, you know, day-to-day, like mechanical life. And once we start tapping into that, like, whoa, Nelly, watch out, world, because it's just going to be incredible.
It does feel like it's incredible more and more. And I also feel the magic in when we speak these things out loud, when we have these conversations. So I'm going to encourage all my beautiful viewers and your viewers, or whoever's watching, to have these conversations with your family, with your friends, with your girlfriends. Get really into those desires and the feeling and what you really want. Like I said, I want more love on the planet, and I'm here to see that through, you know, and I know that. And so what do you really want and desire? What does it take? And when we come together and collaborate, what else can happen? Because I feel like in a time where there's so much of the dysfunction coming to the surface, and there's still more of that yet coming to the surface. It's coming in ripples. You know, some of us have seen a great deal of that already come to the surface. Others are still catching up. Eventually, everybody will get to see, unfortunately, it's how the healing happens, right? You have to see the condition and the dysfunction so that you can then move into the healing phase. But with so much coming on the surface right now, I feel like this message of yours is a real flag, you know, of, hey, everyone, just keep focusing over here. Focus on this. Don't get distracted by all the other stuff that will push you over the edge. I talked about mental health last week, Barbara. All the other stuff that can just take you down the rabbit hole, push you over the edge, put you into a self-destruct and fuck everybody kind of a place. Like, I'm out of here. This world's too crazy. Let me just leave. Because lots of people are feeling that and just trying to hold on to any little thing that they can get hold of on a daily basis, like they're drowning in it. And I obviously care a lot about people's health and their well-being and their mental state, and we're all feeling it on the collective anyway. We're all merging, aren't we, into that more state of unity consciousness where we're picking up on everybody, like everyone's empathic, everyone's picking up on it. So I'm just going to encourage all of you, whilst I have this opportunity with Barbara here, to take the things that Barbara has shared and the things that we've talked about tonight, and whatever truth that you felt in that, really take it into your heart, take it into your body, let it validate your truth of what's real for you, what's your real desire, and give that your dream time, give that all your sensory connection and attention. And don't let that beautiful attention of yours that's so powerful and precious and worth so much, don't give your attention away or let it be robbed and stolen from you and dragged into places that are just going to be destructive to you. I want to say that. And destructive, because if it's going to destroy you, it's going to be destructive into your relationship and then into your family with your children, and be destructive to your children because you're in a bad place. And it's like, we don't need any more destruction. We need more love. We need more love. So, Barbara, any fight? We've been on here for over an hour. Thank you so much for your time. I know time flies, right? I could talk to you for literally hours. But do you have any other final wisdoms for anybody that is watching? And by the way, guys, we've had a lot of comments here. There's lots of beautiful people watching and putting all their comments down. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here.
My final thought would be, you know, a lot of people might get triggered into feeling selfish by, you know, what you said just now, like focus over here, like focus on you. And it's really, really important. It's not selfish, because I can speak from personal experience. I go on like Instagram or YouTube and I go down the rabbit hole, and we know which one. And I'm not going to name it. I know you speak about this on your channel. So I go down this rabbit hole, and I think I must, in order to stay educated. I think I must because I need to know what's going on in the world. And guess what happens to my energy? It goes right down the toilet. It immediately affects my relationship. I get preachy with my kids and they shut me out. It affects every area of my life, to the point where I recently realized I am not allowed to be on Instagram anymore. Not scrolling. I do it for business. I post things, interesting things for my audience, but I am not allowed to scroll anymore. Why? Because it sucks my energy down. And how can I serve my beautiful women? How can I show up in my own life for my own daughters, for my own relationship, when I'm doing these things that don't feel good? And it's not selfish. You're not ignoring. You're not, you don't need to know everything. All you need to know is what works for you to get you in that high vibration. At every moment of your life, you get to recalibrate to that. And if you're not there, go back. And if you're not there, go back. And that is your work. Because when we're all vibrating on that level, whoa, we can do a lot. We have so much power. So that would be my take-home message.
Oh my goodness, Barbara, you've opened a whole another doorway of talking about being in the power of the divine feminine. We will do that. But I just want to echo that as well. That is the divine feminine. And I have this vision. I want to leave everybody with this vision of the earth spinning on her own axis. She's just spinning. And you know why she spins? This is how it works in my mind. The earth spins because then the sun, the masculine, the divine masculine, can shine the love over every little inch of her body. And she just sits in her axis, and she's a bit wonky, but that's okay because she wobbles, because we wobble. But we want to go, look, I want you to see this side, and I want you to see this side, and my back side, and my front side, and I'm just going to keep spinning and turning so that that love from the sun, from the masculine, can be shone everywhere. And because the earth does that, and it is in her power, everybody on this earth has an opportunity to prosper, because she's doing her part. She's being her magnificently. She's not running around the galaxy, is she, trying to do everything for everybody else? No, no, she's doing this is how I think of it. She's owning, she's the divine feminine, and she owns it, and the beauty flourishes, and there's enough abundance for everybody, and everybody can prosper. And then it's, you know, it's, so I want to leave you with that image. Forget selfishness. That's an old program to hijack the feminine, to hijack love, hijack relationships. It's total bollocks. Throw it away. Be in your enlightened selfishness, where the self is source and the source is you and everybody in the collective. Done. Barbara, I love you. You're a total goddess. I'm going to see you again soon. Everyone, again, just go watch Barbara's show. Click the link, go sign up. It's free. And of course, please share this video so everybody can listen to the beauty that's been shared here, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I love you guys. Over and out. Good night. Mwah, mwah.
I love you, Tara.
Love you. Right, how do I switch this off? Let's see.